Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to the Paper Crafting YouTubers Hop for November. And the theme this month is family time. And it is also Kit Conspiracy with MK and Janet. So I will do a bonus layout today with the kit that I have for that. And so it is a nature study. And if you'd like to see what the kit has, there is a video down below. I'm going to scrap these two pictures. That one right there, it I just couldn't get it to print right. It stayed skinny the whole time. So I went ahead and made the other one match. And in thinking how skinny they were, in my head, I'm going to mess up. Well, there's a couple of times I'm going to mess up on this layout. I'm showing the scraps that I am using, and I am going to use that mesh um, moss mesh ribbon from Hobby Lobby. And I'm showing both sides of that paper because I'm going to die cut out of both sides. I'm going to do the green with some greenery and then the yellow looking one with like a, I don't know if it's meant to be baby's breath or not, but it's something you stick in as a filler. I am going to remember the film strips and the rub-ons this time. And I substituted the rub-ons for the postage stamp washi. And I laid things over there that I plan on using, and I'm showing my dies there. They're going to be part of my title. However, I lost the M, found it, laid it to the side, and somehow lost it again before I made it back into the packaging. And and I'm not going to use any of those dies. I started to, well, I did use them, but I changed my mind on the title, so that word didn't get used. That's a pink fresh dye there, and then there's the little one that kind of sort of looks like baby's breath, and I am showing them, and I'm going to use that crackle stamp there and the HUD from Paper Rose stencil. However, you are not going to see it when I get done. You've seen how skinny those photos are. I mean, in my head, guess I had them pictured skinnier because I thought I could put those two huge, giant stencils on there and they would show. I'm going to cover them up completely. I don't think a bit of them showed. I looked all over to see if I could see them at all when I got done, and I couldn't. So that was for nothing. But you will be able to see the stamp, and it's a crackle stamp, and it is from Stamperia, I believe. I'm thinking that's what it is. But if anybody wants to know, just ask down there and I'll see if I can find out. I had this scrap left over from yesterday's layout, and I cut it into hexagons yesterday, and this is one of the pieces left over. There's still a little bit left, but I didn't use it all. And I'm going to use 3 of the film strips, and see how I have that darker full one on the left. I'm going to somehow put the other one on the left, but I'll catch it. I will catch that goof, and I'll catch it really quick. But since my layout's a little off center and more to the right, I wanted the heavier looking one, if it can look heavy when you can still see through it, on the left-hand side. And you see me patching up that hole? Yeah, I didn't have 2 pieces the right size, so I just covered it up. I figured nobody's ever going to look that close, and maybe I'll cover that corner up. Don't you just love these film strips? There's so many different ones to choose from and different sizes and different colors too. I mean, I went with the browns on this since there is green in the background. Well, there is some brown in the background too. But since my strip was green, there's green in the photos, I thought I'd go ahead and go with the brown colors. They're all a little bit different. Oh, and here I laid that film strip, it fell onto my photo and got glue on there. So I got some undo with the Kleenex and rubbed it off. And if you ever go to rub off with undo, rub the glue off of a photo and you've never done it before, it seems to go a lot farther. You don't use as much. It's got that little scoop on there, which I used at first. But if you put some on a Kleenex and then rub to the edge of the photo, it'll all go to the edge and it'll come off a whole lot quicker instead of like rubbing in a circle or something. I had a hard time picking out which jar I was going to use. I wanted the one in the upper left-hand corner, but it has one little kind of greenish color mushroom in it, and the others there's like a couple more and they're a different color. I wanted to make sure I used the green ones because the ones in the tray are the greenish looking ones. They're kind of in between a green and a mint, and I know mint is green, but it has a tad bit more of the green than it does the mint. I put green vellum behind my little magnifying glass, and it is printed, so you can see kind of like a vine going through it or something. You barely can see it. And of course, you can see the print behind it of that green piece of paper too. And I'm just going to kind of tilt it like it's sitting against the jar. And then I'm going to add greenery, of course. But there's like 2 branches in here that has greenery in the kit. And I'm trying to stick to what I have and I'm allowed to use. And you're allowed to use scraps and anything you have that would just go with your layout. And so I'm digging out scraps. The green paper I'm using today, I think it's also Curator's Metal, but it's a different sheet, a different color. This one's more grungy green, is the only word I can describe it as, than the other one was yesterday. The photos I'm scrapping are of my brother and his family. Well, not his whole family, his youngest ones in the family. The others are all grown. Well, Cherokee is too. And it's Gracie he is holding in that one photo on looks like a rock wall. And her daddy's the one taking the picture of the other group. And they were at Big Spring. And it's like an annual thing. Well, semi-annual, I guess you'd say. They like to go in the spring and visit all the places that, that weekend. And then they'll do it in the fall and visit all the same places. And then compare pictures basically to see how everybody's grown and changed during the past year. And of course, they had the addition of Gracie one year, so that was a nice change that they had. But I love that photo of him and Gracie on that wall. And like I said, I couldn't get it and get all the wall and everything in there too, like I wanted, with her legs hanging over the side. And without cropping it down, and then it just wasn't, well, I guess you all had them. Every now and then a picture with a phone will end up skinny, and sometimes you can work with them and sometimes you can't. It depends on what's in the photo. In my head, I thought I'd have 3 clusters. Well, once I got started doing the layout, like I said, it wasn't working out like it was in my head. Those pictures were bigger than they looked in my head. But I thought, well, I guess I'm only going to have 2. But then I end up putting, well, you can see it over in the tray, and it's just a little word. I think it's chipboard. I'd have to fill it. But it says this place because it is Big Spring and they like to go there. But once I put that on there, I decided I could put a little cluster where it is at. So I will have 3 clusters, but I don't mind having 2. And I think it would look fine without it, but it looked like it was screaming for a little bit of an addition to it. This one down here, I stopped because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do next and worked up there at the top. And I will go back up there and I won't be paying attention to what I'm doing. It looks fine now, but in a few minutes, the F and the A will be covered up and I won't even notice it. I won't even notice it till right at the end of my layout. And I thought, Oh my goodness. I don't mind covering a little bit of the first letter up with greenery or something. I think it looks good. But I don't want F and A covered up, which was it was. So I thought, Millie Day. I had to end up moving family over a bit. Now, I cut the top of that sprig of flowers off and put it there at the bottom. And I thought, well, I'm only going to have 2 clusters. So I decided to go ahead and leave them as they are and put them up there with that little cluster up there. However, I would have went ahead and cut them apart if I'd realized I was going to have 3 clusters. So there will not be any flowers in the 3rd cluster. If I end up finding one in the kit later, I'd probably go ahead and put it on there, but to match the others. But at the moment, I don't have another one to put over there. I could have used my punch, but I think it would have kind of glared out that it was a different one because those are about the same size as my punch. Um, oh, there's one punch that, like I said, kind of reminds me of baby's breath or berries. Maybe berries is what it's supposed to be. Um, I'm clipping it apart and just tucking it here and there. And the color on the opposite side is kind of like a yellowish green. It's not white and it's not no vanilla, which is the 2 colors I usually use. But it still looks good on here. And I was looking at those rub-ons trying to decide what I was going to use on them. And I couldn't make up my mind. So I am working over here. And like I said, as soon as I put that on there, I thought I can put a little bitty cluster here. And I started to go up there on top of it. But you see that branch going across there? I thought, no matter what I put there, you're going to still see the branch going across there. And I kind of liked it. So it's not going to have as much as I would have had right up there on top. So it's kind of going to cascade down to the left. But I left it for a minute because I couldn't make up my mind. I knew I wanted the branch to show, but I didn't know what I wanted to put there. I did decide which rub on. I wanted to match the mushrooms that I was using. At first, I was looking at them and trying to decide what I liked according to what was actually on the rub on, which is what I usually do. It's not always the color. And then I thought, well, I could go with the color to match the mushrooms. So I did get some text down there on the bottom that I liked. And then there was a bigger piece of text, which is, like my favorite to put on there. And I cut it in half and put half on one side and half on the other. And I like that pretty good. And I usually like the B side best. However, the last 2 layouts, I have used the A side. And yeah, I just thought they looked the best. I flipped one side to the other, with 8 pieces to choose from. I think it's a little bit harder to choose, but I do have another pack, so I figured I can go ahead and do the B side next time. I was blessed pretty good with the stuff in this collection, and it is kind of hard leaving the rest of it alone. Um, Oh, while I am working on these last clusters, I want to mention that down there below, you'll find the links to everybody that's doing the paper crafting YouTubers hop. They'll all be using the theme of family some way or another. And yeah, they're pretty lenient on what Rachel is. It's Rachel Talman that is the host of this hop, and she's pretty lenient. She says to go however you want with the theme. And this isn't my immediate family, but I see them a lot. So they still feel really, really close because, he is my brother. And that's my sister in law and niece, nephew, and great niece. Um, oh, I am sprinkling some uh, bookworm by Mr. Huey on here, a favorite, and it is discontinued. But I also want to mention that down there below is the links to MK and Janet for the Kit Conspiracy and the Facebook group if you want to go check it out. Uh, There's a lot of people that are creating with the same kit that we are creating with. Or similar. Mine is similar. I did not have the postage stamp washi, so I used the rub-ons and the chipboard. My chipboard is different. It took me a second to remember what else I had different, but I have the chipboard words and they have the other chipboard. But uh, I think I got plenty to play with. But it is funny how often I think about what else is over there in the iris container that I could be grabbing. But if you leave a comment down there below, I'll try to get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. And those of you are, thank you so very much. You see, there's the cluster with the little magnifying glass with the vellum on there, so you can see the pattern underneath there. And then, of course, that mesh ribbon. Love that stuff. I just love adding it to the outdoor layouts. And I did layer the, I decided that isn't chipboard, but I did layer it to make it have a little more substance over there. At the time, I was thinking by itself. And there's my title, and I did move it over, and you can see most of the F now, and tell it is Family Day instead of Mealy Day. But I hope y'all have a happy scrappy week. Check out both the hops down there and see what they created today. Bye.